NLDS preview, Padres, Dodgers, fired up about it, excited about the guests we've got on to discuss the series that I think everybody was hoping for, apparently including Teoscar Hernandez. And a guest that I'm really excited about it because one of my favorite coworkers has a love-hate relationship with this guest. So she's going to be really, really excited when she and her husband watch this episode tonight or tomorrow or whatever. So going to be a good time. No time to waste. Thanks to OGs, the sponsor of the On Friar podcast. Appreciate all they do for On Friar and the NBC7 sports team. If you're not going to make it up to Dodger Stadium this weekend, I got the place for you. Go to OG's. Tons of locations around San Diego County. Great food, great pizza, awesome beer list, and just a great place to watch games. Tons of televisions. And whether it's college football, NFL on Sundays, whatever you want, OG's is the place to do it. So thanks to OG's and all their support for On Friar. Without further ado, the walk-up music. It is the On Friar podcast brought to you by NBC7. No Derek, no Todd tonight, but we do have a Jim Russell. Yeah, let's go. What's up, man?
Hello. How we doing?
Good. How are you?
I'm good. I'm glad you didn't ask John to be on the show tonight because I always show up. I'm always here for you.
I was thinking about that because I threw out the invite to both you guys, and John was very quick to say no can do. And then I think he offered up your services too.
I think you said along the lines of, "Hey guys, are you doing a wrap-up show tonight?" And he says,
"What I did."
He goes, "No, I'm not doing it."
Yep. This will probably be the first night that On Friar beats the wrap-up show in viewership.
Because we're not doing one.
Because there's no wrap-up show tonight. So maybe we'll get a small portion of the wrap-up show audience.
We could have simulcasted on both platforms. That's we should have done.
Genius. You're just a content genius, Jim. I never would have thought of this idea.
I mean, can we still do that? I know it's live right now. Probably not, but
I don't know. Who knows?
It's probably too hard to do it.
And it's weird with the whole big company thing on our side, you know what I mean? It might get us into trouble.
If it was a personal thing, then I would say that's absolutely do it. But yes. I get it, NBC7.
Yeah, you guys have a sketchy brand. You say bad words on your show and stuff like that. So.
Yes, we violate FCC regulations a lot on that, even though there's no FCC regulations on a YouTube channel.
Well, but we are on the Roku channel, the fast channel.
Just kidding. Okay.
NBC7. So you still got to watch what you say here, Jim.
That's true.
But you're a busy man, as we were discussing right before you came on, and so I appreciate you doing this on short notice. And one of my favorite coworkers, Claudine, who's probably watching this with Jeff right now.
Hi, Claudine.
Texts me all the time. I was watching the wrap-up show last night, and Jim got me so mad. As soon as he started talking, I was yelling at my TV. She's like, I never yell when On Friar's on. I'm like, well, maybe I'm doing something wrong. Maybe I'm not trying hard enough if you're not yelling at me.
What did I say? I got to know what I said.
I don't know. It's every episode, Jim.
I mean, to be honest with you, there are a lot of times I don't even remember what I said. But I'm gonna need examples. I need to know what really made you mad.
I'll follow up just to get into the specifics of it. But she also said, I do watch them every day. So clearly.
Hey, love me or hate me. If you watch me, that's all that matters.
That's all that matters. That's all that matters. Yeah, it's working for you. It's weird having 2 days without a game.
I kind of like it, to be honest with you.
It's true. It's not the worst thing.
It's not the worst thing. The worst thing is the 5-day layoff. I can't imagine what it would be like to cover the Dodgers or the Phillies or the Yankees or the Guardians right now, waiting for their series to start. I'm good with the 2 days off. I love the fact that the Padres didn't get taxed this week, but they still, had high leverage games, obviously the wild card, but they stayed sharp. They had their best relievers pitched in this series. It's not like they won each game 7-0 and 8-0. Like Adam, Scott, and Suarez were out there both nights. And I love that. So they got work in, and now the 2 days off is going to help everybody. And Saturday, it's freaking on, man.
Yeah. Yeah. Apparently you made Sad Friar mad by wanting to keep Crony batting third, by the way.
One night I said that I was just going through a lineup, and I mentioned Jerkson Profar hitting seventh, and I was being kind of not like serious, but I just mentioned it because I was talking it out through my head, and the chat just like lost their mind. Everybody hated me for
Was this when he was kind of slumping there towards the end of the season?
It was, and I thought that because Cronenworth has been hitting third or was hitting third for a majority of the season, and Profar has been a guy that they've moved up and down the lineup everywhere. I was like, well, Profar has said this year that he doesn't care where he hits, and so I was like, maybe Profar seventh, and everyone's like, you're an idiot, you don't know baseball, and so
don't know ball, Jim.
I don't know ball apparently. I apologize, Sad Friar, but yeah.
Greetings to Eric.
Hello, Eric.
Greetings to Johnny. Wait, isn't this the wrap-up show? Or this isn't the wrap-up show?
This is a better version of our wrap-up show.
I don't know about
actually.
that. I don't know about that. Where is it? Yeah, Omar says John is jelly right now. I don't think John is jelly. I think he's probably sitting on the couch with his family, drinking an ice-cold kombucha, enjoying himself.
You actually said John is on his computer or phone reading college football.
That's probably right.
Probably wrong.
Kristen's next to him, like with her headphones on, rolling her eyes internally. Like,
correct.
What are we doing? Jim's in the house. It's about to get lit. Hopefully not like Warriors just won the NBA title lit, because
that was a fun night.
We might get ourselves in trouble.
No, we're in battle mode. We're in battle mode. It's division round. We're not celebrating yet.
What happened at the end of that Brewers game? Terrible. I wanted Pat Murphy to win. That would have been cool to see Pat Murphy win.
I know. I was like, man, Pat Murphy going to be one of the only managers to come back from down 0-1 in a wild card series, but wrong.
Apparently, you cut out there. Oh no, we're having. Oh, I was going to say that expensive laptop that you just bought was letting you down for a second there.
It's fine on my end.
Okay, you're good now. You disappeared momentarily, but we're good. Profar apparently was irrelevant to Jim.
What are you talking about? I love Profar.
Hey, there's John. Should I send John the link? Why aren't you talking realignment? We'll get to that, John. We'll get to that in the second hour.
Perfect.
Oh, look who's here. This is the first Will Holder appearance in the wrap-up. I'm saying wrap-up show chat. The on Friar. He's probably been in the wrap-up show chat. What's up, Will? Ivy Bike Tour to sports media people. That needs to happen after Padres season. We're gonna hit the group chat and although I don't think I have Will's number. Will, drop your cell phone number in the chat. Will.
Yeah, drop your number in the chat so we can everyone can text you, and then we can send all trade and all off-season ideas to you, and then we can talk about everything that goes through your head on a daily basis, Padres related.
I was messaging Will at some point in the last couple of weeks, and I realized that the Padres broke him. The Padres broke him by being so good and so functional. He doesn't think about trades anymore. They reverse. Maybe they fixed him. Maybe they fixed Will.
Darnay, here's the thing.
Winter meetings
the off-season starts and winter meetings come, get ready. All right.
Let's go, Padres. You said something apparently that bummed everybody out about the series. Is that true, Jim? You got everybody fired up, probably including Claudine.
Like about the Padres Dodgers series?
Yeah.
Like I bummed people out?
Yeah, I thought people got mad at you for something that you said about the series.
I think what I might have said that made people kind of bummed out is that the one thing that does concern me a little bit. Now, John doesn't care. He doesn't think it's relevant at all. But the one thing, well, there's a couple actually. One of them is Ohtani. I mean, breaking news, he's pretty good.
Sorry.
And the other one was the Padres outplayed the Dodgers all year long. Like whenever they played the Dodgers, they outplayed them damn near every single game. There might have been one game early in the year where the Dodgers
first Soul Series game.
No, not the Soul Series game. I thought the Padres outplayed the Dodgers in both the Soul Series games. I think there was one game at Dodger Stadium where the Padres lost by like 4 or 5 runs. And I think And that was to me the only time this year that they played where I'm like, okay, they got outplayed definitively that game. A couple other games, the ball went the other way and could have, whatever. But all in all, they outplayed the Dodgers, in my opinion, anytime they played them all year long. But final series of the regular season, just about a week and a half ago, Dodgers looked pretty good. And, without that triple play on that Tuesday night, Padres could have gotten swept that series. Now I know game 2, Joe pitched really well and they were leading 2-0 in the 7th inning, and he gave up the home run to Will Smith and the wheels kind of fell off. And then the following night they lost 7-3. I think the bullpen came in and they didn't do well at all either that game. And so that kind of like is like, it concerns me just a little bit, because from a Dodgers perspective, they might think now, all right, these guys, they're beatable. Like we played well against them the last series and we feel good. So that's the one thing that I think maybe pissed people off about what I said there, instead of going the route of like Padres in 3 or something along those lines.
Isn't it funny though that you're discussing like the exact inverse of like 2022?
Yeah.
Whereas, I mean, I guess it was 2021 where the Padres were beating up on the Dodgers early in the season. You're like, okay, we can get these guys.
Right.
But going into 2022, it's like, do they have the belief? And now you're talking about, okay, now the Dodgers have the belief that they can beat the Padres, which is kind of interesting. Just a bit of a reversal of fortunes there.
Yeah. Well, I heard you mention a little tease there. I don't know if you have it on a rundown or sorts, but Teoscar Hernandez said something tonight that I feel actually pretty good about if I'm the Padres, and I kind of like this. I like it. What did he say?
No, I don't have a rundown in a Google Doc. This isn't John and Jim. We're not quite that official.
Hey, bro, we don't have rundowns.
uh, if anything, I'll have some notes on my phone. Let's give a shout out to our friend Ben Fadden then. How about that? Should we do that? If you see a random
Who?
quote from somebody, you probably saw it off Ben Fadden Talking Friars page.
Right. He doesn't sleep.
There we go. There it is. Teoscar Hernandez saying, I wanted San Diego. This is from Jack Harris, LA Times. Just because the adrenaline, the intensity, just the history of these two teams, I think this is the best scenario for us, not only us, but the whole baseball world. So I wouldn't spin that as like bulletin
Yeah.
board material. I think it's just saying like, this is going to be a fun series. There's going to be a lot of energy. It's a rivalry. And why wouldn't the baseball world want Dodgers Padres as opposed to Dodgers and a beat up Braves team that doesn't have Chris Sale amongst other stars?
See, you and I are just a little bit different on that end, because I am using that 100% as bulletin board material.
as of course you would.
I am looking at that as I have selective reading, and all I saw there is the Dodgers said we want the Padres,
Yeah, it's true.
and it works out best for us.
Oh, they're reading between the
So,
lines.
I
Okay,
mean,
all right.
if I'm in that clubhouse here in San Diego and I'm Mike Schilt, I'm like, all right, they wanted us, they're gonna get us, and I love it. Now, they got to go out and do it, but before the series starts, like, okay, cool, you want us? Let's go. Here we go.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, you're probably right. There's probably more to it than I let on. John says you do have the Google Doc rundown of your show, that you just don't open the Google Doc, apparently.
That's true. Yeah. Sorry.
Um, yeah, it is. One thing I was thinking about going into it was like, what do you take away from the regular season as a whole versus like, what do you take from last week's series? Because I feel like last week's series
Mhm.
had a very different feel, to your point, than excuse me, what we saw through the bulk of the regular season. Now, all really close games. I mean, for the most part, like multiple walk-offs, Luis Ariz, Donovan Solano, Merrill Machado going back to back to set that one up. Merrill, the go-ahead knock early in the season in LA. So like really competitive games as you would expect. Whereas in 2021, it was like, I feel like the Padres were kind of running away with some of these games.
Mhm.
This year, obviously really competitive, close. Dodgers weren't at full strength all the time. And like in those early series, you're like, okay, Otani bets Freeman. and to some extension Smith, nasty, but like everybody else down the line, I mean, that's kind of rough. And the bullpen, like, not really as fearsome as they have been in the past. And then you saw them this series, and like Kopech was kind of shoving and like trying in his back. And then you got guys in the bottom of the order that are like, doing things that we've seen the Padres do at the bottom of the order, just kind of have like competitive at bats, grind out walks, get on base, and set up the other guys. And like that second game, when the Padres had 6 walks and it seemed like they capitalized on every one of those walks. It's like, okay, this is a slightly different operation that the Dodgers are running than what we saw early in the season, even though they're not completely at full strength. Like they got their horses at the top of the lineup and they got like veteran guys that are like fulfilling their role pretty well.
Yeah, what I took from the last series, I mean, it's pretty simple to me. It's they have Shohei Ohtani. I mean, it's like if Shohei Ohtani is going to be playing like that, that's going to be a little bit of an issue.
And you know what's kind of funny? Like Todd and I talked about this, I think the Thursday after that series. It kind of felt like they kept Ohtani somewhat in check, just in the sense that it wasn't like nukes every single night,
Uh-huh.
and it was like a single to drive in a run, that sort of thing, some hard hit balls. He had that one double that he hit like 130 miles per hour off the bat. But like when Otani's at the plate, you expect like that second deck moonshot. They didn't give those up, but he was
No.
obviously super, super effective in other ways.
Yeah, like game 1, he goes 1 for 3 with a run scored. Game 2, he goes 2 for 3 with 2 runs scored. And then in the final game of the series, Ohtani, he went 3 for 5 with an RBI and a run scored. So, if Ohtani is going to have like that type of game series where the first 3 games he goes what 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 for 15 or 7
Yeah,
for 14 with however many doubles and like 5 or 6 RBIs,
pretty good.
that's pretty good. Now, the other factor in this series as well is the health of Freddie Freeman. If Freddie
Mhm.
Freeman is going to be bothered by that ankle,
Has anybody said anything since then, by the way? I haven't heard a word.
they have said that he's going to try to go, but I don't know if he's gonna be 100%. I mean, that ankle was literally like
Yeah,
90
it's rough.
degrees. It was like 90 degrees.
Yeah.
So that's a thing right there. Because if Freddie Freeman is gonna be injured and if he's not going to look good in this series, I mean, John talked about it. The strategy against Ohtani is like, here we go, right there, put up the fours
Mhm.
and have Betts beat you. You know, Betts last postseason was awful. The last couple of postseasons, he's been really bad against against the Padres, and then last year against the Diamondbacks, he's been really bad. Same thing with Freddie Freeman. Um, so like, is Ohtani going to be truly the guy that we saw the last 3 weeks of the season, where you can't get the guy out, or not? And if Ohtani is that guy going into his first ever postseason game and postseason series, that's a problem. And while you've talked about the bullpens and the players that the Dodgers acquired at the trade deadline, Flaherty, Kopech, I give advantages to the Padres in both those areas. But unfortunately, the one area that I can't give an advantage to the Padres is the Ohtani factor. Like you're just going to have to figure out a way to contain him and make sure that when he does come to the plate, it's not with like runners at second and third and less than 2 outs
Right.
or
Yeah.
something along those lines. And
And
by the
that's
way, if that happened, then I'm truly putting up the 4. Like I'm not pitching to him.
and that's what they didn't do well in that series, especially the last 2 games, is like if you have like an out or 2 outs, you're in the bottom of the order,
Mhm.
like get those 7, 8, 9 guys out and get out of the inning so that Otani's coming up
With
to
nobody on.
start it leading off an inning. Yeah, nobody on base, and that wasn't the case. They gave him too many opportunities with guys on to do damage and drive them in, and often those guys were on because of walks, which you have a little bit more control of. And with the arms that the Padres
Right.
have, there's no need to nibble against those guys. And so that's where they definitely have to kind of like navigate the order and be super cognizant of like what do you do against 7, 8, 9, so
Yeah.
that you're not looking at 2 on with like one of the most dangerous, if not the most dangerous hitters in the game, um, at the plate. Sad Friar says they say Freddie is good to field, but batting will be tough for him. I would have guessed the opposite.
Well, he hurt his what? Left or right
Right?
hand?
Was it right or was it left? Maybe it was left,
So it's
which would be his plant
plant
foot.
foot.
Yeah, so I guess that'd
Yeah.
be. Do you think it's something is wrong with Flaherty? With the news that Yamamoto. I'm guessing that's related to the news that Yamamoto is pitching game 1, but seems like that's more so to give him an opportunity to pitch 1 and 5 if it comes to that.
Well, if you look at it as well, there is 2 off days in this series. I
Mhm.
didn't realize that. You have a
Yeah.
Monday off day and you have a Thursday off day. So whoever pitches game 2 theoretically could be ready to go for game 5 as well on full rest.
Yeah. Well, and this would be, I think, full rest plus 1, which is apparently generally what they've been doing with Yamamoto this season.
Yeah, and, his
Whereas,
last
but with that off day being Thursday, like Thursday would be full rest, Wednesday would be not full rest, you know what I mean? And so,
Right.
like, it's really the only option if they want him to pitch twice. And so I guess it's just we would rather see Yamamoto twice over Jack Flaherty.
I I don't understand it. I mean, I'm sure there's obviously a reason behind why they switched today, but they announced this earlier in the week that Flaherty they announced their postseason rotation in the division series. They announced Flaherty 1, Yamamoto 2, and is it Bueller 3? I think Bueller 3. I'm not quite sure.
I didn't see that.
Well, it kind of to me it feels like a little overthinking on the Dodgers part. Maybe I'm wrong, probably am, but to switch that up and have Yamamoto go game 1 when since he's returned from the IL, Darnay, he's not thrown more than 79 pitches in an outing. He's not
Hmm.
gone more than 5 innings in an outing. And I know it happened at the very beginning of the season and a lot of things have changed, but this Padres team has seen and hit Yamamoto very well this year
Yeah.
in only the 6 innings they faced him. But still, it's 2 times through the order. He threw 43 pitches in Seoul, Korea in that first inning where he got lit up. And then
Hmm.
he pitched better the next time they faced him, or he faced the Padres at Dodger Stadium going 5, but he still gave up 3 runs. So I'm thinking to myself, like, could this work in the advantage of the Padres? Because game 1, you're going up against a guy who, if history is correct here, just from this year, they saw him very well. And this lineup is scary. It's a lineup that doesn't strike out. Their K rate is the best in baseball as far as how low it is. And the other night when they faced Max Fried, I said before the game on John and Jim, I was like, I just feel like they're going to hit Fried and they're going to see him well. Now they babbited him to death, but I just thought that they were going to do well against Fried because earlier in the year against Fried, they did really well, 4 1/3, and he got him out of the game. I think they allowed 3 or 4 runs, and they saw him very well. So I'm hoping that this plays into the advantage of the Padres by having Yamamoto game 1 instead of Flaherty. So you're going up against a guy who you have seen very well this year.
Yeah. And, Flaherty, you've got, obviously experience on your side. He's seen the Padres more often throughout his career. Um, Postseason experience. Oh, 2020 postseason, 6 innings, 1 earned in that must have been the series clinching loss. Um, so yeah, I mean, it's with Yamamoto, you don't have that experience, you don't have the familiarity with the Padres that Flaherty does. It is an interesting. On one hand, I get it. Maybe I guess the ceiling's higher. Maybe they're playing the lack of familiarity, like hoping that it'll be an advantage from the Dodger standpoint. I don't know. But that was kind of interesting. If Shohei shoves, it's game over. Well, I haven't seen that as part of the pitching plan for the Dodgers, but
Shohei's
I've
going to pitch now? Whoa,
I
that's
saw
new.
I saw there's speculation during the season that like, hey, maybe if he's ready and they get desperate or wanna, throw a wrinkle at somebody.
Yeah, that'd be news to all of us. And all of a sudden he starts game 3. He's like, "What?"
Omar asking any update on Musgrove? Nada.
No, I don't think we're going to know until Saturday, truthfully. I think we talked about today on John and Jim. I think you could see him on the postseason roster come Saturday. Because I think his bullpen might be either a Sunday or Monday, if I'm not mistaken. And
Mm.
then after his bullpen, they can determine if he's going to be ready to go or not, and they can just make a move there, and they can take him off the postseason roster for the division series. Now he would have to miss that CS round as well, but then they can take him off, and you can play some gamesmanship a little bit up until the final moment that you need to make a decision there. Even if he's on the postseason roster in the division round, I don't think it's a guarantee that you'll see him pitch. That's just what I think.
Yeah. I mean, in like a perfect scenario, if you're thinking Cease Saturday, you Sunday, off day Monday,
Mhm.
King Tuesday, Joe Wednesday, right?
Well, that was
And
yeah,
so
that was
you're
perfect.
you're thinking Monday for a bullpen. Um Which, yeah, conceivably. It is concerning that, as Joe told reporters, that he's been feeling this for a couple weeks, and now
Yeah.
he's been able to pitch through it and has
Mhm.
pitched well. I mean, you mentioned that Dodger game, like, there was that Will Smith homer, but he was cruising along before that, and he looked g I thought he looked really good yesterday, and I think that's why it was, like, it took everybody by surprise. You're in the press box, you're watching, you see the mound visit, you're like, "Okay, they're talking stuff over," and then you see Schilt come out, you're like, what's happening here?"
Yeah, that was not cool. That was not cool to see. I did not like that. No bueno. And then he said post game, he's like, "Yeah, my elbow was hurting." I was like, dude, that does not sound good at all." Joe's the type of guy that you almost have to like protect him from himself.
Yes.
And that's exactly what Higgy did yesterday, going to the mound. Um, he did it earlier this season, coming off the IL too soon, and luckily they kind of maybe got to him. Was like, Joe, you need to like slow it down. Um,
Well, he said that, and he said that, early in the season too, when talking about, you know, his elbow stuff and last year, and how last year just kinda got away from him, and how, like, he just, he learned that he needed to take his time, and that when you rush, it tends to cause more problems down the line. And so I think especially when the bone spur popped up,
mhm.
like, he and the staff were pretty cognizant about, like, okay, let's give it the necessary time. And it was what, 2.5 months or what have you. And he looked so good. It was like a what, 2.15 ERA after 9
Oh, he was
starts going
incredible.
into last night.
He's been
Really, really
incredible.
good.
Yeah.
Your internet's bugging out, by the way. Um, so
What?
it's yeah, you hate to see that. Sorry, you're a little glitchy there, Jim.
I'm watching us and I look good.
Do you?
Yeah, maybe it's on
Maybe
your end, buddy.
maybe it is just, do I look how do I look? Do I look good?
You look good.
Okay.
I think everything's fine. If we look
Okay.
glitchy in the chat, say in the chat.
All right.
Say
All
my
right.
internet
All
sucks in the chat. If not, then it's Darnay's fault.
right.
Yeah, Jim's fine. Gabe says I'm fine.
We'll roll with it. All right, man. Maybe the signal here. Actually, I'm plugged in. I don't know what the deal is. Maybe it's a NBC 7 issue. Anywho, I'm glad Jim's fine. My bad. My bad, everybody. But
Oh.
yeah, I mean, obviously,
Why are you
I know
still watching?
I've definitely seen there be issues with Jim's internet on the wrap up show before. So you have to, forgive me for assuming that that might be the case.
That's where I lived like by myself in a garage with like a computer from the 1800s and like dial up.
And now you have a $3,000 laptop and you live with your wife.
Yeah, exactly. I've
Everything's different now.
upgraded.
You have definitely upgraded. I have a tough time feeling super optimistic about the situation, with there being multiple elbow situations now with Joe, and now, like you said, wanting to like do the right thing and be smart about it. Now, obviously, if there's going to be a time to push it, this would probably be the time to push it, and Joe, being the competitor he is, would probably be willing to do that. But now I think he did say something after the game that, like, it was a separate issue from the bone spur, or that was at least the belief. And I don't know if that makes me feel better or worse.
Look, last year, right, dating back to when his season ended last season, he's had a shoulder problem. He's had a bone spur, and now he has his elbow hurting. That's not good.
Elbow hurting again, like for basically like the third time this season.
You're just worried that if he tries to push it here, could this turn into the words that you don't ever want to say when you're a pitcher?
Right, right. We
So,
won't say it. Well, let's
no.
not put that out into the world. But that's like the big thing that's hanging over this series now, and put a bit of a cloud on the proceedings last night. Um, what was your kind of just overall takeaway from the last 2 days against the Braves and what the Padres were able to do? Michael King, Kyle Higashioka, big
Mhm.
second inning. Merrill with a nice game too. Like, there's a lot of good takeaways. You mentioned just like the bullpen getting some use. Wasn't always perfect, and maybe I mean, how encouraged were you by what Robert Suarez did too? I mean, I think, and you guys were kind enough to have me on John and Jim that afternoon, and you yourself asked me about like, all right, how are we feeling about this Robert Suarez situation?
Mhm.
And I was like, well, we're we're gonna find out.
I
There's gonna
know.
be a big game, and sure enough, it went from 5-1 to 5-4 in the blink of an eye, and
Mhm.
you'd already used Scott, you'd already used Adam. We're like, all right, buckle
Fr
up.
from a, like, series perspective, I'll just start with, like, did you go to Petco in 2022? Were you there?
Yeah,
Okay. So, like, the atmosphere, for a playoff game here at Petco is unmatched. I mean, it's incredible. The
yeah.
place literally shakes, and, I mean, the fans brought it. It was amazing to watch on television, and that's the first thing is that Petco Park, as far as a home field advantage, is definitely, to me, the best advantage right now in baseball. Like, I think it's far and away better than Dodger Stadium's atmosphere. I'd be hard pressed to say that any other, you
I think
know,
there's one place that is up there with it.
right now in for a postseason team.
Yeah, I'm not saying it's better. I think there's one place that is comparable.
Let me guess. Hold on. Um,
This won't be a surprise, you know,
are you
knowing
gonna?
what you know about me.
Oh, Philadelphia.
Yeah. And
Okay,
this isn't me being a Philly. I just genuinely think it's a really good
I
environment.
do too. I do too. But I think like when crazy moments happen, I think the peak. I mean, it's up there because I
Yeah.
mean, let's be face it. Phillies have won a World Series before. Padres haven't. So the fact that like
Yeah.
there is still that in the Phillies fans' back pocket of like, okay, well, you won a World Series. I know it's not obviously ideal and it still sucks, but from a Padres perspective, fans perspective, a lot
Yeah.
of this stuff is like
There's
uncharted
that like
territory.
desperation that you have to finally do it that like,
Right.
yeah.
Yeah. But anyway, atmosphere incredible. It's going to be incredible this Dodgers series, especially if they have a series lead coming back here to Petco. Hopefully it's tied 1-1 at worst. You get back to Petco, it's game on. From a watching the team standpoint, it just felt like they were on a mission this series and they're on a mission for this postseason. It felt very workmanlike. Like they knew where they were the better team. They went out and proved that. And other than a couple moments in game two, there wasn't a lot of stress. Like they went down 1-0 in game two. And yes, the bottom of the first inning happened when they didn't score, the bases loaded, no outs. But they put a 5 spot in the second inning, and it was like, okay, this one's done. You know,
Mhm.
bullpen came in. Estrada did not look good. Adam gave up the 2-run home run. Scott looked really good, and Suarez got the job done there. It just felt very workmanlike, and it felt like that their goal is so much bigger. And when they finished off the Braves, there wasn't like a huge celebration on field. It was like, we expect to be here and we expected to win the series and we expect to move on. And I think if they beat the Dodgers, yes, the celebration will become bigger, but I think they're also going to be some type of feel of like, Kobe Bryant, job's not done. Job done? Job's not done yet. And
Yeah.
that's how I feel just about this team right now in the postseason, going forward.
And I think that's a great point. It kind of relates to what you said about like they've never won the World Series. Well, they have beat the Dodgers, and a lot of these
True.
guys were involved when they beat the Dodgers, and so that in and of itself might impact like what the celebration would look like if they do it, because it's it's going to be electric, incredible.
Yeah.
Petco Park's going to be shaking, or Dodger Stadium, or Padres fans in general, if it plays out that way. Um, but there is something about the first time, and
Yeah.
nobody was necessarily expecting. I shouldn't say nobody was necessarily expecting. There wasn't the same expectation. You weren't going into that series the way you're going into this one. It is kind of like a virtual coin flip. And so I think, that is going to impact.
That's Darnay's internet, not mine.
Um, and why is is it good on your end? Because the internet is losing it on my end. But
It's fine on my end.
anyways, that's fine.
It's
Okay,
alright.
good. This
It wouldn't
system's
be a
bugging
show
out.
with me without internet issues.
So that's going to be interesting just to see how it plays out. But I thought, the line that Musgrove had, when he was asked by Tony Gwynn Jr. about like what's the difference between 2022 and 2024, and he's like, in 2022 we just like got hot, we were riding the wave, we had no idea where it was going.
Mhm.
Whereas this time around, like, we expected to be good, we expect to be here, we expect to have a season like this and to do something special. And so I thought that was pretty interesting too, where there is that like confidence, that belief that we're supposed to be here.
Mhm.
We're not just like, oh wow, we beat the Mets, let's see what happened. Like, oh wow, like we've won a couple games against the Dodgers, we'll see what happened. There is that belief that this is exactly who they are, and what they should be doing. And I think you're right in that that's going to show itself with some of these celebrations. And if they beat the Dodgers again, it's not going to be like they slayed the dragon. They already slayed the dragon 2 years ago. They're just doing what they feel like they should be doing.
Yeah, and the expectation is that from their standpoint is we're a better team than them, and they're in our way. It's not like, oh, this time to slay the dragon. It's like, no, they're the Dodgers, yes, but they're also just a team in our way right now.
Mm-hmm.
And it's going to be ratcheted up to 100 as far as the intensity goes, as far as, the fans go, as far as the nervousness goes for both sides. And I think it's going to be a really good series. I think this has a very good potential of going 5. I don't know if I would have said that if Joe was healthy, because to me, he makes this pitching staff, in my mind, the best in the playoffs, or at least up there as 1A, 1B type of rotation. Um, and yeah, I think, what they do in game 4, because do you have a feeling it's going to be a sweep either way? Because I don't.
No, no. I
No,
mean, I was going to ask you for your prediction
yeah,
eventually. You don't have to give it now, but
but like for me, game
why we
4
we're going
is
to take Dodgers in a sweep
yeah, I'm taking Dodgers in 2. Um,
too.
um, like what whatever is the series at game 4, I think will determine what the Padres do game 4, in my opinion. If they're up 2-1, I think I think you could look at a bullpen day.
Hmm.
Like Morahone starts, because you do have Otani and Freeman in the first, and potentially if you get to Muncy, you got 3 lefties there. I don't know how their lineup looks. Maybe Will Smith's in there to break up lefty righty, lefty righty. But I would feel much more comfortable going bullpen day after a King start, knowing that he can give you 6 or 7, than trying to trot out Martin Perez game 4 and try to just steal outs.
I'm team Martin Perez.
Really? Okay.
I don't know. I mean, it's not really based on anything other than he's been like solid for them this year. And
Mhm.
I know Giannis had on Twitter had his idea of what they should do, and using Jacob and Reynolds and bullpen game and this and that, which I don't have necessarily strong feelings against that. A career postseason ERA for Perez of 9.24, so that doesn't give you a ton of confidence.
Yeah.
Well, part of that was last year. Last year, 1 1/3 gave up 4 runs. So if you take that out, it's not
Oh
quite
yeah,
as
just take it out.
drastic.
It's fine.
But yeah, the most recent thing he did, take that out. It doesn't count. I don't know. I wouldn't hate the idea of Perez with a quick hook
Mhm.
and, some of those other maybe more reliable arms waiting in the wings. But it is hard when, you're not necessarily like self-pedaling into the lineup. It's like the first guy you face is Shohei Ohtani, the second guy you face is Mookie Betts, the third guy you
Right.
face is Freddie Freeman and Will Smith, and even with the short hook, it could be 3-0 in the blink of an eye, and so that's where it gets a little bit dangerous.
Like who trying to think, trying to see here. Yeah, so um from like a series breakdown perspective and like a prediction perspective, like these first two games for the Dodgers are so important
Hmm.
because
Flaherty and
after
Yamamoto.
after Yamamoto and Flaherty, you have Bueller who's been shaky. He pitched well against the Padres, but um okay.
He pitched okay against the
He pitched
Padres.
okay. But still overall shaky. Who's after that? Knack?
Knack, I figure Knack.
And then obviously Friday game 5 would be either Yamamoto or Flaherty depending on who they choose. So for me, it's like you got to get out of LA minimum with a split. Obviously, everyone would love up 2-0. It'd be freaking amazing and be electric for game 2 or game 3 at Petco on next Tuesday, with King on the mound. But if you get out of LA 1-1, advantage Padres for sure in my mind,
They've
right?
got you get home field, if you once you get that win on the road.
Yeah, and even if the Padres do go bullpen day or they go Martin Perez game 4, it's not like Martin Perez versus like a prime Clayton Kershaw. It's
Yeah,
it's going to probably be the same scenario for the Dodgers. A guy
yeah.
that who has done well for them over the regular season, but at any moment it's like, okay, we're in full bullpen mode. I yeah.
I feel like the easy prediction is split in LA. We'll say Padres win, Dodgers win Sunday against Darvish.
Mhm.
Padres win game 3 with King
Mhm.
on the mound.
Mhm. Yeah.
Dodgers win the bullpen day. Back to Dodger Stadium for game 5. Padres in 5.
Yeah.
Now, not really going out on a limb
Oh,
here.
yeah. Um,
I do love the idea of what I had in mind initially before I thought about like the pitching order of things.
mhm.
I do love the idea of Dodgers 2-1, Padres winning on a bullpen day, or however patchwork approach they would have to take.
You
Uh,
want them down 2-1 in game 4?
this is what the Padres have done all season.
Okay.
This is what the Padres have done
Hey,
all
Darnay
season
said it.
long.
He wants the Padres down
That's
2-1 for
not what
game
I
4.
want. That's not what I want. But I do think that would be fitting for these Padres in terms of their resilience and their fight, the comebacks, that sort of thing, to
Mhm.
be up against the ropes. She'll have some fiery speech in the clubhouse that somebody's putting on Instagram Live.
Oh boy. I don't know if that'll work.
And yeah, win game 4 to stay alive, go to Dodger Stadium and take the series.
Yeah, I mean, I would like it to play out kind of
I mean, a
similar.
sweep would be awesome. I wouldn't be mad at the sweep. I wouldn't be mad at 4 games. It's all
Absolutely.
good to me.
Yeah, I would love if it played out similarly to 2022 where they won in 4. Um 5 feels like this is just destined to go 5,
Yes.
but you know, I think the Padres have the advantage at the back end of the rotation even if Joe's not pitching. And I think it's a wash for the first 2 starters, and truthfully, if Cease is on, he's a better pitcher than Yamamoto.
If Cease is on, he's the best pitcher of those 4.
Yeah,
If Darvish is on, they have maybe the 2 best pitchers of those 4.
and if King is gonna pitch like he did on Tuesday night, then they have the 3 best starters in the series. So,
And
like
if Joe's elbow gets miraculously healed, they have the 4 best
right,
starters.
like, take John's elbow, it's fine. He's not using it.
John doesn't need his elbow.
He never uses his elbow, for only for Pilates. But I
And
My
surfing, apparently. Does he surf? John surfs? I didn't know this about
No, he
John.
doesn't. If he surfs, then I don't know. My head says 5, Padres in 5. My heart says Padres in 4. So
Yeah. Yeah. Eh,
I yeah, I mean, it's a cop-out answer, 4 or 5, but
they're all cop-out answers.
yeah, I mean, it's just you need Cease to be Cease,
You need
game
Cease to be
1.
Cease. He didn't
Eh
seem, rattled at all about just the idea of having to, like, hang on for a couple extra days, like, using it to
Mhm,
his advantage, making sure, his mechanics are where they need to be.
yeah,
We know how good he can be. You don't necessarily always get that version of him.
because his last start at Dodger Stadium was not good, not, Cease standard. It was 5 innings, 3
Yeah.
runs, 4 strikeouts, 3 walks.
Yeah.
Not the type of performance you want in a game 1.
No. No. John said the worst year of his life was the year Jim didn't have the internet.
That was actually the worst year of my life as well.
I've kept you on for too long. Let's buzz through a few more comments though. Get some quick thoughts. Tati has excellent numbers at Dodger Stadium. Look for Tatis to have a monster series and career
Agreed.
numbers at Dodger Stadium: 34 games, 12 homers. Let's see. He's got 10 at Oracle, so that's the most he has anywhere.
Yeah.
313 average, 626 slug, 992 OPS.
Yeah, he owns that dump up in LA. He does. I mean, he's hot right now too, so I would expect Tatis to have a big series, truthfully.
Tatis is going in hot. Jake is ice cold. Move Jake to the 9 hole. Thoughts? Well, Jake, that Tuesday night against Dodger Stadium, Cronenworth also every so often comes out of nowhere and has like
Uh-huh.
2 doubles, a double and a triple, a homer, and 3 hits.
Did you
And seems
know
pretty comfortable there.
that Jake in his career has 12 homers against the Dodgers?
Does he really?
He does. Now, he's only hit 190 something versus the Dodgers, and he's got like an OPS in the 600s, but he has
Hmm.
12 home runs against them.
How do you have an OPS in the 600s? I mean, has he done literally nothing
Like,
outside of?
yeah.
Wow.
And then in the division series in 2022, he hit like I think 538 with obviously the big hit. And then he had a home run in that series, 5 RBIs or 3 RBIs, I think. Maybe 5 RBIs, 3 runs scored. But he was great in that series after going 0 for in the Mets series. So
I have a question for you, Jim, that came to mind after or during the yesterday's game 2 against the Braves.
mhm.
When did you start? And this anybody in the chat wants to chime in. When did you stop missing Juan Soto?
When did I stop missing Juan Soto?
When did you stop missing Juan Soto?
Um,
Unless you haven't stopped missing Juan Soto.
Look, I love Juan Soto. I think that anybody that thinks Juan Soto is not a good baseball player is a hater. I think that
I don't think anybody thinks that. I mean, there are people that talk about the walks and stuff like that, but whatever.
right. I think Juan Soto is a top 10 player in the sport. But I mean, honestly, I haven't really thought about Juan Soto a lot because the team's been really well. I mean, first half of the season, yeah, I was thinking about Juan Soto a little bit. I'm not gonna lie. I was
So
thinking
like
about
August, July, like when did you stop thinking about maybe when did you stop missing him is a bad question. When did you stop thinking about Juan Soto?
um I mean, when the Padres went on their run in the second half, like you don't think about that stuff anymore. You just look at the team and how well they've played and yeah, you just don't think about it. I think the second half, once they got in a roll, you're kind of like, you know, for me, I'm not sitting there be like, oh yeah, man, they need Juan Soto. Like if you noticed my tweets about Juan Soto's home runs got lessened by a lot
I don't think
uh
I've seen
in the
it.
second
When was
half.
your last tweet about an old friend? I
I
can't
almost
remember the last time I saw one of those.
I almost on the final weekend of the year, almost retweeted a Trent Grisham meaningless home run for the Yankees. But I said, I don't really care.
Didn't James Wood homer like in the last weekend of the season too? He might have homered
Yeah.
against the Phillies. I don't
See,
remember.
I only get tagged in that stuff because I get tagged in a lot of it. if the Padres aren't doing well. When the Padres are doing well, it's kind of like, not going to do it. It's fine.
Only good relievers Dodgers have: Vesia, Trinan, maybe Kopech if he has command of his fastball. I feel like Vesia, the San Diego guy, has just gone through it against the Padres.
Now, isn't Brusdar Gratterall out? Is he on the IL?
I think so.
I think he's on the IL. And then they also have old friend Daniel Hudson on the team, right? So
yeah, that 2021 trade. Or was it 2021? Yeah, 2021
yeah,
trade.
I mean, Kopech's been really good for them. No doubt about it.
Yeah.
And Trinan's obviously really good as well. But I still take the Padres bullpen. I take the Padres bullpen. I take the starting pitching. The lineup, I guess if you want to give the advantage to the Dodgers, I won't argue with you because of Ohtani. But it's not like the Padres lineup is that far off of the Dodgers other than Ohtani.
We have a Dodger fan confirming that Gratterall is out.
Okay. Yeah.
You never stopped missing Soto, but when King started to prove his worth, it lessened. And Higgy.
And Higgy. Yeah, Higgy has been very good. I remember when they traded for Higgy, I asked somebody that covered the Yankees. I was just like, yo, what's going on here? What's up with these guys? And he said that he's like, Higgy's a great defensive catcher and he can't hit worth a lick, but when he gets hot, he'll hit you like 10 home runs in a month. And he's I mean,
sure enough, like the entire, I guess, second half of the month of June. And
yeah,
it's fun. I mean,
he's got sneaky pop,
and his resting heart rate is like 20.
Oh yeah.
Luis, great question, Darnay. I did stop thinking of Soto at a certain point, especially the second half of the season. I don't see anybody tweeting about him. I don't see anybody.
Well, we might be thinking about Juan Soto a lot if they end up facing the Yankees in the World Series.
I love it. I mean, from a storyline perspective.
Oh my gosh, please.
Incredible. Just incredible.
Please, content kings, please, content gods, please let us that happen.
Second prized free agent player behind Ha-seong Kim.
Oh yeah, we haven't talked about that.
Cash rules everything around me, Jim. Cream, get the money.
Who?
Dollar bills, y'all.
Huh? Who's that?
Boris client. That's who that is.
That to me, not great.
Later.
Not great sign. Yeah, bye-bye. Love you, Kim.
But
bye-bye.
like, I mean, come on. It's probably gonna happen. Did we see the only thing I could see, and I don't know why I was thinking about this recently, is him. Somebody might have asked me, is just like a 1-year cheap prove it deal, like another like Tommy, Tommy Pham's been on a 1-year prove it deal for the last decade.
Right. But he's also like 38 years old.
So like a Ha-seong Kim, 1 year, I really like it here and I want to get healthy again, prove that I'm a gold glover and can hit 250 with 14 homers and be, a contributor and then get a payday. I could have maybe seen that, but I don't think Scott Boras clients genuinely go that route.
Yeah. When have you seen a Scott Boras client take a like show me deal that was beneficial money wise for the team? Like Blake Snell kind of had a show me deal and it cost the Giants $30 million this year.
Yeah. Well, the answer is Kim and Soto will sign a $60 million a year contract in like mid-March or something like that.
I hope not. That's the one thing about baseball. It's a whole nother discussion. Baseball needs to create a winter meetings deadline where everything needs to happen during the winter meetings.
Mm-hmm.
And then once the winter meetings are over, then baseball has to put on a pause. So it gives more incentive to make the winter meetings electric.
Commissioner Jim Russell, sign me up.
I mean, and then it only opens up like free agency again, like a week before spring training.
Yeah. Apologies to Aaron for keeping you much longer than I said I was going to.
I will blame you for this, and she will accept.
And then, but then tell her I said go Birds. So we're
then
good.
She'll like you more than me.
Wrap up show after every postseason game.
Wrap up show after every postseason game. Saturday night after Dodgers Padres game 1. It will be a solo show because John is calling the Aztecs football. So,
do you want to cancel the wrap up show and have all the viewers on Friar instead?
How would you maybe? I mean, yeah. Well, you know what? Everyone just watch on Friars instead of wrap up show. We're not even gonna do it anymore. We're just gonna quit.
You and your like 10,000 viewers every single episode. I don't know if you want to do that. John and Jim,
True.
weekdays 3 to 6, SD Sports 760, and once every few weeks or so, you might hear my voice on with those guys too.
You said
Always a good
once
time.
every couple days wrong.
Once every couple days
Yeah.
when John texts me. Actually, John texted me at like 8 a.m. the other day to get me on.
Oh, that's good. That's a new
I've given him enough grief about the 1:30 text. Like, hey, everybody turned me down. Can you come on instead?
Let me guess. Was it along the lines of Darnay, ... What you doing?
No. He just came. He was very direct, right out with it. He's like, hey, sometime. Actually, he invited me out to the Naughty Barrel. He said, hey, can you come out to the Naughty Barrel at some point? Yada yada. I was like, I don't think I can do that, but I can call in. Here we go. This is the earliest John's ever invited me.
Can you come on tomorrow?
No, I can't. I'm off on Friday.
Soft.
Appreciate it, Jim.
Bye.
Bye.